Since the dawn of humankind, our species has gazed toward the skies and wondered whether we were truly alone.
Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're counting down our picks for the 20 best overlooked AA games that deserve so much more time in the spotlight. Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Call of Cthulhu.
Stop!
2018's Call of Cthulhu might be a bit janky and cumbersome at times, especially in the 4 stealth sections. Those definitely aren't all that great, but for every shortcoming it has, the game more than excels when it comes to overall tone, style, ambiance, and just the game feel in general. Edward Pierce is on the case, ready to uncover the macabre details of the Hawkins family and their ties to the otherworldly eldritch horrors the game throws at you in and around Darkwater. Especially in the final act of the game, it gets really bonkers. Playing from a first-person perspective, Call of Cthulhu immediately immerses you in its investigative detective-style gameplay, one that offers spooky locations to explore, cultists to contend with, and plenty of terrifying abominations that ensure Edward's sanity chips away with every single encounter. If you can get through the rougher gameplay sections, then this AA game will surely win you over.
What does this strange book contain? This book contains unholy knowledge.
Astero's Curse of the Stars. We should mention right up front that Astero's Curse of the Stars is a major time sink of a game, one that unfortunately outstays its welcome. But despite that, this challenging yet accessible Souls-like action-adventure game ticks just enough boxes that make it a real worthwhile AA contender. As Hilda, you will explore myriad Roman and Greek-inspired locales with plenty of mythical and magical madcaps around every corner. What makes Asego so darn fun is its immediate moment-to-moment gameplay, specifically the deep and nuanced combat, plus the enticing exploration. The game's art direction and level design are also both top-notch here. Combined with the meticulously designed hack-and-slash combat, this game will keep its hooks into you even when the game continues to dump too much needless lore and exposition on your lap. Lost in Random.
Now, my friend, it's your turn to rule, to play the odds, and break the curse of random.
So what do you get when you combine a spooky and whimsical Tim Burton aesthetic with a third-person adventure game with unique board game elements? Well, you of course get the hidden AA gem Lost in Random. One of those rare, smaller games published by EA, Lost in Random is a real joy to play and is really unlike any other game out there. Taking on the role of Even, it's up to you and your pal Dicey to find your sister Odd in the Kingdom of Random.
No, Dicey. They should be scared of us. Right?
A location that is both wrapped up in coziness and filled with menace and madness alike. The real star of this game are the battles. Even and Dicey must work together in tandem to play through the board game battles, where wits, wile, and a bit of luck are all equally important. There are cards to utilize, a handy slingshot to get to grips with, special mechanics, and diverse enemies. It's a game that encourages experimentation, which helps it to stay fresh all throughout. Come for the Tim Burton vibes, but stay for the deeply nuanced gameplay and compelling narrative.
Well. You can't have the sweet without the sour.
Ukulele. (2017's charming love letter to 3D platformers, Ukulele might not have set the world on fire in terms of sheer platforming perfection, but it's still a fantastic 3D platformer in its own right, well deserving of a playthrough, especially if you are a connoisseur of the genre. Developer Playtonic really swung for the fences with this one, clearly attempting to pay homage to the likes of Banjo-Kazooie and something like Super Mario 64, while still carving out its own unique identity. Yuka and Laylee are an utterly charming and lovable duo to play as. Sure, some of the game's worlds felt a bit sparse, the camera didn't always cooperate, and the minecart sections were a real darn chore. However, as a whole, Ukulele is brimming with fun gameplay, playful areas to explore, and some truly top-notch music to bop along to as you platform around. Blacktail.
You can still save us.
Zora, is that you?
You're not ready.
Seriously, why the heck does no one discuss the first-person Baba Yaga-inspired adventure game Blacktail? It's just so good. Publisher Focus Entertainment definitely knows a thing or two about bringing excellent AA games to the table, and this point is extremely evident in Blacktail, a game about magic, darkness, natural beauty, confronting the past, witchcraft, and so much more. There's a lot going on here. The game is loaded with fun elements, from the first-person bow and arrow / magical combat, to the tantalizing exploration of the semi-open world, to the in-depth crafting system. There's a fantastic sense of place in Blacktail, one steeping in organic natural beauty with just enough tinges of darkness and horror to keep it enthralling. Don't sleep on this game if it happened to pass you by the first time around. It's a bewitching experience through and through.
Of course, we've got a job to do.
Evil West. One of the more popular AA games out there, Evil West is a game all about vampires, the Wild West, electric Tesla powers, and plenty of supernatural shenanigans. This is not a game that takes itself seriously, and thank goodness it doesn't. Feeling like a game ripped right out of the 2000s, much like the beloved cult classic underrated gem Darkwatch, Evil West is all about the action. Vampire hunter Jesse Rentier takes to the Wild West to dish out plenty of damage to the nefarious vampire presence in this game. Evil West kinda sorta comes off as a mashup of 2018's God of War and the Devil May Cry games, but again with its own unique spin. There are a staggering amount of ways to battle the creatures of the night in this game, from punishing melee moves to uber-powerful Western-inspired guns to electrifying Tesla powers. Evil West is just pure video game goodness with a healthy dose of Wild West vampire goodness. It's a bloody good time all around.
With my new asset, we can control the change. Reclaim the Sanguisuga's rightful place at the top of the food chain.
Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn. Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn really seemed to get swept under the rug, which is a real shame. For those of us that actually played through this 2024 underappreciated gem, we quickly realized there's something special here. While the game was touted as being a Souls-like experience, it's actually more akin to a traditional character action game, similar to something like Banishers: Ghosts of New Eden, albeit with less scope, variety, and longevity overall. Stepping into the brooding shoes of Nor Vanek, she, alongside Enki, who is a god I might add, must push back the encroaching dead. This game really shines in two specific areas. Number one, the combat, and number two, the exploration.
Let's go! Perfect!
Flintlock combines a deadly arsenal of weapons and powers into tightly crafted combat scenarios that actually make you want to seek them out. And as you are seeking things out, the game will reward you with new areas, plenty of loot, and unique quests to take on. The game may end somewhat abruptly and can sometimes feel underbaked, but it will still manage to capture your moment-to-moment attention. Scars Above. Now, it's hard to pinpoint exactly what type of a game Scars Above is. The trailers make it seem like a survival horror sci-fi game, or a somewhat by-the-numbers sci-fi third-person shooter. While it is both of these things, to some extent at least, it's actually a narrative adventure game with surprising Souls-like elements, which, unfortunately, the surprises don't actually enhance the otherwise fun gameplay. Scars Above sees you play as scientist Kate Ward, a protagonist who finds herself pulled into an alien monolith high above Earth's atmosphere. It's here where the game really pulls its weight. This is a deeply unnerving, hostile alien location. Since Kate isn't a soldier or a fighter, she uses her science and technology background to cobble together non-weapon tools to actually use as weapons to fight back against the menacing alien threat. While Scars Above could have benefited from a more traditional combat experience of the tried and true yet often stale Souls-like formula, it still manages to be an enthralling game with outstanding world design, sound design, and a noteworthy sci-fi narrative.
You must journey further. You must prepare yourself for what is yet to come.
Bugsnax.
Nesbert said you'd be coming. There's a Bugsnax right over there. Do me a favor and take my snack trap.
Okay, yes, you could make the argument that Bugsnax is actually an indie title, but for our money we would classify it as a solid AA game through and through, given its top-tier production quality. Without spoiling anything here, let's just say that Bugsnax is not exactly what you think, especially once the game's narrative tone shifts dramatically later in the game. Just be prepared to be shaken to your core from a game that you thought was just a cartoony first-person experience all about helping the wacky Muppet-esque cast of characters and their growing hunger for bug/food creatures, you probably already guessed it, known as Bugsnax.
Well, I have a few prototype traps that I could put to use.
This is a highly inventive and playful game where you are encouraged to experiment with the various creative Bugsnax around Snacktooth Island, all while helping push along a morally gray story about using said Bugsnax for a deeply personal agenda. The way this game entices you to learn about each Bugsnax's preferences and quirks with plenty of gameplay experimentation makes it a food-themed journey worth taking.
My invitation is open. Come join me on the island of Bugsnax.
Liz! I was trying to carry a lamp with my weenie hands, but I dropped it, and now the town's on fire.
Oh, again?
It's Bugsnax.
Jusant. A thought-provoking, melancholic, bespoke narrative adventure game all about climbing and scaling mountainsides, towers, and cliffs might not seem like everyone's cup of tea. However, Jusant from storytelling veterans Don't Nod is an adventure to be had by any gamer. This is an emotional and poignant game all about overcoming obstacles, both physical and mental. The way Jusant weaves this notion into its climbing gameplay is sheer perfection, even for those that may not have a penchant for a slower, more methodical gameplay pace. As you continue to scale and clamber up unique locales set across different biomes, you will learn more about the ambiguous world around you, the inhabitants who occupy these lands, and why you, the protagonist, ended up here. If you want a AA game that feels completely fresh and unique, then make time to summit Jusant. New Super Lucky's Tale. 3D platformers in general really deserve so much more praise and attention, mostly because of just how fun and playful they are. In the case of New Super Lucky's Tale, fun is shoveled your way in spades. Stepping into the adorable, courageous, and infectiously positive shoes of Lucky Swifttail, you spend your time in this platforming game exploring myriad colorful and engaging stages that feature oodles upon oodles of collectibles to hoover up while trying to put a stop to Jinx and the Kitty Litter Gang. Oh, and will also restore the lost pages of the Book of Ages. Apart from the charming cartoony art style, New Super Lucky's Tale is set apart from its platforming contemporaries through Lucky's traversal abilities. You see, Lucky can actually burrow underground, which, in tandem with other platformer movement staples, encourages momentum and tact in equal measure. This is just one of those utterly enjoyable 3D platformers that will keep you entertained all throughout its whimsical runtime. Solstice. With a name like Solstice, your mind might possibly conjure up just another Souls-like experience, which are sort of a dime a dozen nowadays. However, Solstice is not at all like a Souls-like game, instead heavily focusing on pure character-driven action-adventure. Now, if you think of something like a more somber and ethereal version of something like Devil May Cry, then you sort of get the idea here. The game's unique selling point is that you play as a sister duo, namely Briar and Lute, with each offering up distinct combat and traversal skills and abilities, although they do play together at the same time. Each is actually dependent on one another, both narratively and gameplay-wise, especially when it comes to utilizing evocation fields, depending on the enemy type. As you explore the dark and moody fantasy realms that Solstice offers, you will battle formidable foes, upgrade Briar and Lute's skills respectively, and unravel a supernatural-esque story that keeps you glued to your screen. Chorus. Chorus often gets overshadowed by other sci-fi space epics, which is a real shame given just how polished, playable, and deeply engaging this experience is from start to finish. Chorus is a meticulously crafted, high-octane space combat game with some of the best sci-fi universe vistas around. Now, if you can't already tell from the stunning visuals and art design, Chorus is one of those AA games that could easily pass for a higher budget AAA experience. The name of the game here is taking on the role of Nara, as she and her sentient spacecraft known as the Forsaken must take on a harrowing sci-fi cult simply known as the Circle. Chorus is all about its sci-fi atmosphere and how it allows Nara to interact with the environments around her as she controls the powerful Forsaken spaceship, all while telling a deeply personal story. The game constantly keeps you immersed with fantastic quest design, great space battles, rewarding exploration, and top-tier progression. The Sinking City.
Okay, this might ring a bell. My guy has a deep axe wound in his shoulder.
Sir, I really don't have time for rifling through paperwork, but you're welcome to take a look at our archives if it means that much to you.
Developer Frogwares has an impressive pedigree when it comes to engrossing investigation-focused games. However, it's the Lovecraftian detective horror game The Sinking City that really stands out from the developer's previous work. The Sinking City is a game rooted in the works of cosmic horror author H.P. Lovecraft, with his eldritch abominations being front and center in this game. The Sinking City thrusts you into a down-and-out broken character, in this case Charles W. Reed, a private investigator who is scarred from his past war experiences. However, it's his keen investigative mind that allows him, and you the player, to thoroughly explore the moody, spooky, and off-putting town of Oakmont, a locale steeped in superstition and tradition alike. This game doesn't hold your hand at all, so head into the open world with your mind ready and open to the possibilities. Oh, and well, keep that sanity in check so you don't succumb to the Lovecraftian nightmares. Bramble the Mountain King. We really need more AA games like Bramble the Mountain King. One part little nightmares-esque adventure, one part fantastical fairy tale folklore goodness, one part character-driven adventure, and all parts mood and atmosphere. This is a game about folklore, mythology, and deep horrors, both real and conjured from the mind. Walking, running, puzzling, and surviving as Ollie across the deeply ominous yet oddly gorgeous locations while searching for his sister Lillimore never gets old. Bramble starts out as something more of like a melancholic adventure, but very quickly veers into horror territory, with many aspects of the forest and surrounding regions seeking to send you and your sister to your demise. This is a thoughtful game that respects your time while always keeping you progressing forward, but always feeling just on edge, never knowing what's around the next harrowing corner. Greedfall.
Enough! This time brute force has prevailed, but the light always triumphs in the end.
Greedfall developers, Spiders, have been making niche RPGs for myriad years at this point, and it's fair to say that Greedfall might just be one of their very best pieces of creative work. If you've ever played a Spiders RPG, then you somewhat know what to expect here. However, the polish and accessibility in Greedfall's case is definitely second to none. What immediately sets Greedfall apart from other similar RPGs is the new world/colonial-esque locales you will explore with your hardy band of characters.
And here, people think that I'm a native despite the fact that I know almost nothing of your culture.
I understand that it might be a strange experience, but you should wear these marks with pride.
As customizable Noble de Sardet, it's up to you and your party to explore new lands with the help of Siora, carving out your place in this world of magic, monsters, and mysteries. From an engrossing central narrative to meaty side content to intricate and diverse strategic combat to rewarding exploration, Greedfall should satiate any RPG fan looking for a new experience in the realm of AA.
Move away! Things are about to get dicey!
Guilt.
Don't hide.
You might have missed the incredibly fun stealth adventure game Guilt when it first launched, given that it was a Google Stadia exclusive. And, well, you know, things didn't go well for Stadia, to put it mildly. Fortunately, Guilt was re-released for modern consoles in 2023, and thank goodness it did, because this charming, somber, and melancholic game truly needs more eyes on it. Yes, it's just that darn good, seriously. Guilt tells a heartfelt and emotional tale that revolves around bullying, and how it affects the one being bullied and the people closest to that person.
Most people lost hope after a few weeks. They just stopped looking.
Wrapping this tightly scripted narrative together is a sublime third-person stealth-based gameplay experience that allows you, as Sally, to explore all manners of sort of Stranger Things-esque locations in search of your cousin Emily. Guilt offers players a host of ways to deal with enemy encounters, with both stealth and light combat of sorts being viable options, with the former, stealth, being the preferred method, of course, when possible. Getting to wander through the halls of a dilapidated school, a broken down arcade, a disturbing mine, and even a mountainside ski lift area are all highlights in this gem of a game. Please, seriously, just go play this game when you get the chance.
What is that thing? Why does it look like me?
Darksiders II. Dark fantasy action-adventure RPG Darksiders II, as well as its enhanced remastered edition known as the Definitive Edition, needs to be experienced, just full stop. Darksiders 2 casts you as one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, Death in this instance. Death is a remarkable character to control in this game, both in terms of how the robust and diverse action RPG combat works, as well as his narrative arc over the course of this lengthy meaty adventure. Darksiders 2 plays as a sort of parallel experience to the first Darksiders game, however you don't really need to play that first game, although you definitely still should. To boil it down to brass tacks, Death must now restore the balance of creation that was thrown off by war from the original Darksiders.
Nephilim, cursed union of angel and demon. The Nephilim, countless realms to pursue.
To do this, Death will explore an incredible variety of earthly, otherworldly, and hellish locations, all while using the oodles of loot found throughout the explorable open zones. The combat in this game is visceral, deep, and enticing. The story is both epic and memorable, and the progression will ensure you never get bored. Banishers: Ghosts of New Eden.
They never learn, do they?
The newest AA game on this list, Banishers: Ghosts of New Eden from Vampire developer Donut, is not only one of the best games of 2024, but is also one of the best AA games around, period. You, of course, play as Banishers, Red and Antea to be exact, two lovers who find themselves wrapped up in the dark machinations of New Eden. As Banishers, they are tasked with helping the locals deal with a supernatural infestation that far surpasses anything either of them have witnessed before.
We really had no idea what we were walking into.
This is just one of those games that simply revels in its spooky, ghostly narrative, and for good reason. It's just so freaking good. Apart from Red and Antea's own predicament, which most certainly won't be spoiled here, it's the various haunting cases that you can pick up all throughout the highly explorable open world that stand out as the best aspect of this game. Each haunting case acts as its own intricately woven side quest of sorts that involves heavy amounts of exploration, investigation, and speaking with the interesting and unique New Eden's citizens. But everything from the weighty, extensive combat, character customization, strong narrative, and impeccable world design allows Banishers to be an experience that offers up a tantalizing experience all around. Atlas Fallen. It seems like many people slept on Atlas Fallen, and it's really hard to understand why, considering just how playable and fun it is. Atlas Fallen feels like one of those thoroughly enjoyable games from the 2000s, when publishers just weren't afraid to greenlight wacky and inventive ideas. Atlas Fallen is often just seen as the desert game, given how many trailers showed off the desert biomes and the sand skating traversal ability. However, those aspects are really just a sort of small part of what is a hefty third-person action-adventure game with some stylish, immediate combat, over-the-top yet engaging storytelling, plentiful, and I do mean plentiful upgrades, and some of the best traversal in all of gaming. That traversal comes in the form of the sentient gauntlet the protagonist wears that allows for a fancy dash through the air multiple times after it's actually been upgraded. The gameplay loop of taking on Monster Hunter style baddies, dashing and soaring through the various biome open zones with some platforming, finding new ways to build out your character via essence stones, idols, armor, and more, and taking on a bevy of quests all help to make a fun AA game that definitely deserves your time and attention. It's just pure good old-fashioned video game fun. So, do you agree with our picks for this list? With so many top-notch AA games on the market to experience, which ones stand out to you as overlooked or underrated? Be sure to let us know down in the comments section. Thank you for watching this video from MojoPlays. If you do want to see more from us, then be sure to press that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you never miss out on our daily gaming videos.